Being involved in God's mission involves standing alongside the poor and needy and working with them to bring about change. The work of the New Delhi Brotherhood in India is one example of such mission. Working among street children, they are actively involved in responding to human need through loving service. India is a large and beautiful country. The capital, Delhi, is a large city of over 15 million people whose population has grown by over 50% in the last 10 years alone, with people and families moving to the city in search of a better life. Delhi as a city has struggled to cope with this explosion in population, and life for many inhabitants is a struggle. There has been huge growth in the number of people living rough on the streets and in the slums around the city. Many come to the city dreaming of a new life, but instead they find they face working long hours for little money and live in terrible conditions. Children are often the worst off, with over 100,000 children living rough on the streets of Delhi. Some have been abandoned by their parents, and others have run away from home hoping to find work. For them, begging for money, stealing food are all they've ever known, and they spend their days wandering the busy streets begging and nights spent sleeping where they can. Many of them become addicted to glue sniffing and live in a trance-like state. The Delhi Brotherhood is a monastic community who have been working with the poor in the city for over 100 years. Starting out as a mission project from Cambridge, the community is now made up mainly of Indian brothers who have a heart for working with those most in need. They have a special centre to work with street children and people living in the slums, which provides education and support. The centre provides a much needed safe space for street children who come and get clean, play games and receive some basic education. They also work with young women from the slums who come to learn basic skills such as learning how to sew or using a computer. These basic skills help some of the women get places at schools or colleges and as a result secure paid jobs. Sometimes it's difficult to imagine how to help those in need. But like the Delhi Brotherhood, Christians are called by the example of Jesus to be at the front line, exploring what makes people poor or in need, and finding ways to serve, bringing hope and comfort. Brother George leads the work of the Delhi Brotherhood to support street children. He himself used to be a street child and was taken in by the Delhi Brotherhood.
I also came from this background, and I was an orphan. And when I stand on my own feet, I can take my decisions, all these things. Then I realized that I should work among these children to guide them, to give them better future, to help them to stand on their own feet. In 1996, I was in Diocese, and I used to go to chapel regularly. And when we read the Gospels and all this, and I was impressed by Jesus' teaching that he said, when I was hungry, you came to feed me, and when I was naked, you gave me clothes, and when I was in jail, you came to visit me. So I was impressed by that verse in the Bible, and I was impressed by Jesus' teaching, and how he used to work among the poorest people, and how he used to work among the physically challenged people. I'm working for the night shelter, working for these children without getting any salary. I'm not getting any salary. Sometimes I feel that, I should work out and work outside with the other organization, and I can get more salary. But when I work with these children, I feel my own life, because I also came from that background. So when I work with them, I feel more pleasant. So I like this work. Actually, I would say it's really hard to change the situation, because the street children, they are always there. So as Jesus said, that the poor people will be always with you, but I won't be with you all the time. But I believe personally that at least we can change some of life from our children. If we could change life for 1 or 2 or 3 boys' life, if they could become if they could become a good man, or if they could stand on their own feet, it's when we have changed their life. Even though the problems are there, but we should continue to help these children to work among these and to change their life.
Now, without the work of Brother George, many of today's street children would not receive any kind of education or have any prospects of leaving life on the streets. We spoke to Manesh, who was brought along by Sanjay, another boy at the centre.
मैं स्कूल नहीं जाना चाहता ना, मैं उस दिन छुट्टी करना चाहता था।
I didn't want to go to school and I wanted to play with my friends.
और मम्मी ने कहा तू स्कूल नहीं जाएगा, मेरे को मारने लगी, फिर मैंने कहा मैं घर छोड़ के जा रहा हूँ।
Then his mother said you should go to school, but I didn't want to go to school. So she used to beat me and I told my mother that I will run away if you will beat me like this.
और मैं भाग गया, फिर मम्मी ने काफ़ी दिनों तक देखा, मैं मार्च में घर गया।
Then I ran away from my home, then my mother never tried to find me.
मैं पहले घर से तब भाग गया, मैं 1, 2, 8, 10 दिन तो मैं स्टेशन में रहा, फिर उसके
So when I ran away from my home, for 8 or 9 days I stayed at the railway station.
पुलिस वालों से डर लगता है, आदमियों से डर लगता है।
Scared by police, because they threaten them and the people they use them for the sexual abuse. उसके बाद
गुरुद्वारा गया।
Then I went to Sikh temple.
गुरुद्वारे में संजय मिला।
Then I met with Sanjay.
संजय ने पूछा था तू कहाँ रहता है?
Then Sanjay asked him, where do you live?
मैंने कहा कहीं नहीं रहता।
Then I said, I'm staying at the station.
संजय ने मेरे साथ चल वहाँ।
Then Sanjay asked him, why don't you come with me?
संजय ने कहा एक अच्छी संस्था वहाँ।
There is a good night shelter.
सड़क में संजय नहीं रहना चाहिए, क्योंकि कभी ना हमारे साथ कुछ ना हो सकता, हमारे साथ कुछ भी हो सकता है, या तो गंदे बन सकते हैं, या तो हम
He said, I don't want to live on the street because I never know that what will I become in my future if I live on the street. So I need someone to look after me, so I feel this is the right place to stay.
बड़ा होके इंजीनियर।
So when I'll stand on my own feet, I'll become an engineer.
We caught up with one of the street children who was able to go into full-time education and is now training to be a car mechanic. The Delhi Brotherhood saw his potential and is sponsoring him to complete his education. He now has a real chance of leaving college and getting a job that would pay him enough money to live on his own. At the moment, he is still living in housing provided by the Brotherhood, where he receives meals and makes friends with some of the other boys who are also former street children. He is able to learn, read, sleep and play in a safe environment away from the abuse and violence that many street children suffer. He has a real hope of living a more normal life. It's hard for us to imagine what life is like for a street child, and the only real way of knowing is to listen and spend time with them as Brother George has. Only then did he see their needs and begin to try and meet some of them. We too need to listen and learn from those who are poor and begin to talk together about how we might bring about change.